For today's video is rather a video that I personally felt I really wanted to go and make as a fan of Fallout, its lore, its games that I've learned to grow and love going through middle school and high school to now a game that honestly makes me pretty sad to even think of when something even related or a thought of Fallout gets in my head. As well, this is an opinion piece of one of my top favorite game franchises of all time. Now kind of saying that with a bit of skepticism as of lately. Now, obviously, this is all going to be read off from a script, and rather is my first time actually making a video with a proper script in mind to kind of make this whole video interesting and on topic and not a huge rambling mess as I usually do for video, but as a better format to organize my thoughts for an easier and more enjoyable watching and listening experience for these type of videos. So go easy on me if my English and vocabulary skills aren't on par. The game where war never changes, but against its own fans and supporters as of recently. The war never changes between us, and Bethesda, for their shady consumer practices, lies, and even levels of deceit that a truly respected AAA company we've all come to love and adore, now on a list with many other devs on a downward spiral to corporate greed, sale numbers, and cash outs. The first time I got my hands on Fallout was when my mother had bought me an Xbox 360 for my birthday back in 2010, and the games that I got with the console were both Fallout 3, my first ever Fallout game ever owned, and Skate, which in my opinion is probably the second best skating game of all time, alongside 2, but that's for another video. Fallout 3 was the first RPG experience I ever indulged myself into, and rather my first ever post-apocalyptic RPG experience at best. While Fallout's scary, dark, and dead wastelands left a good impression on me as a teenager, just finally starting to get their hands on the next-gen console they've always wanted, and Fallout as well is no exception when it comes to how many hours I poured as this terrified yet excited and intrigued wastelander traveling through the DC wastelands, learning more and more about the game and its RPG mechanics from multiple dialogue options and karma system, weapon crafting, and cramming every single minute of my time exploring and traveling in the game with some of the best 40s and 50s classics I will forever remember to this day as one of my favorite soundtracks ever on a video game to date. As time progressed and as I played through the game for hundreds of hours on end with beating the main story and the lovely DLCs I've grown to love, the DC Wasteland and many of its amazing stories and tales as I've met new faces such as Three Dog to Fox, everyone's favorite friendly super mutant, to even Dogmeat, the lovable dog that everyone had fell in love with at first sight that ran into that rundown junkyard, alone and wanting someone to come along and travel with them to be by their side. What really made me enjoy Bethesda's games was a level of story and RPG elements that they provided that made their games very engaging to a level where you could almost make your own stories in between what the main story was telling you and what you did on your own time as well. Now, I know many people can mention other games at this time, but for me, this was my first ever RPG game that I've managed to play ever and absolutely loved every minute of it. Fast forward with Bethesda's releases afterwards with Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim to the announcement of Fallout 4 made me so excited as I've managed to enjoy so many hours playing through Bethesda's games, and even through New Vegas with Obsidian's addicting writing and attention to detail with characters and their personalities to a level where I felt Fallout 4 as Bethesda may have learned something from Obsidian could do no wrong. But I rather became a bit excited and high in expectations after seeing a trailer where a new world and new home were so many new quests, mysterious faces, enemies, locations, and many things I've expected to love from the last Fallout games I played, put up on a pedestal, and made even better than before. Then the release of Fallout 4 came around. During this time, I was heavily into streaming the game and played off stream as well, as the game consumed many hours of my time as I've delved into the Commonwealth and its many treasures and mysteries had to hold. As time went along and I've played through most of the story and checked a fair amount of landmarks and locations the Commonwealth had to offer, I felt after playing the game for many hours that everything felt like I was being thrown into a spin cycle of a system where most of the story and RPG elements of the game went to the back seat and gunplay and shooting took left the wheel in front. I started to think to myself if I felt this game was lacking only in this department where it came to long-term playability and enjoyment, but it felt like I just went to a new location, learned more about the location in terms of lore, kill any enemies inhabiting the area, clear area, grab any loot laying around or behind some locked computer terminal area, and rinse and repeat. With this rather washed down and extremely shallow system Bethesda implemented in Fallout 4 made me feel rather let down and disappointed, only to have a story to be washed down too with a rather cliche storyline trope. Hey, your son went missing and you need to find him to figure out what happened, only to find out that your son has went and made an institute and has created synthetic human beings, or rather robots, as a means of preserving and cleansing the human race as it currently stands in a world that is rather dead, barren, and a shell of its former green lively self. And you're my father and need to accept the fact that I knew you were going to eventually come and find me. Are you proud of me yet, Dad? Moving forward, the biggest one of them all, Fallout 76. Ugh. It really surprises me that how easy us as human beings can be absolutely manipulated in some cases, or even deceived, to rather have trailers or any sort of teasers for many levels of entertainment that we consumed and indulge ourselves in every day to get us to rather buy things or to go and see them. But when people expect some sort of level of hype or excitement to a product or something that brings them to a level where they're always expecting the provider of a product to perform and always perform better the next time for anything, you hold yourself accountable for so many things you've said and done if it truly does not go right. Fallout 76 was a huge surprise for me personally when it came to the announcement at Bethesda's E3 presentation, as I expected there would be an announcement for a continuation in the Fallout series, but rather not for a game that was always online and rather an online survival game at that either. My high hopes that I've previously had before with Fallout 4 and its announcement and disappointment were starting to go low, but with a sense of interest and went through with an open mind to see what this game was about and what Bethesda was going to provide to the fans of the franchise, waiting for something new to arrive. As I've seen through the trailers, I was amazed and excited alongside my friends, also partially freaking out over an online version of a game I've loved over so many years to play with friends and make some new experiences with. To see another new location being West Virginia and having country roads stuck in my head so damn much, the next 2 weeks were nothing but pure country road memes. It was pretty sickening after a while. So with all the trailers and excitement between me and friends, I've managed to pre-order the game, the $80 Tricentennial version of the game, to get access to the beta, which was red flag number one. One red flag later, for some odd reason, I felt fine by noticing that this wasn't a Call of Duty game, since most of Call of Duty games would always have pre-order-esque styled betas just to get pre-order sales up every year. But since I was so interested in the game itself and rather had the cash to churn out for the beta, I caved in. Fast forward, watching GameSpot's video on Fallout 76 beta being played at 4K on an Xbox One S as stuttery, blurry, and horrible mess with lackluster gameplay, I was starting to get worried that Bethesda, a AAA company, would put out even a beta product like this, such as a huge mess running on the world's most powerful console. Yeah, sure, whatever you say on that one. The second red flag, beta times. I get that Bethesda wanted to properly make sure the servers were stable and fix out any tweaks or anything in terms of being a beta and such, but for having beta times from 3 to 5 hours seemed a little sketched and also poorly done, as it was timed around Eastern Standard Time and done at times that make it not EU friendly at all. Continuing on and playing through the beta with friends for multiple days when the beta was being held, I felt that the game was also very lackluster but somewhat fun, as it was meant to be an online survival game inhabited by other players where no NPCs, which was the third red flag about this game. Bethesda had mentioned that most of the inhabitants in the world of Fallout 76 would all solely be just players and no NPCs, which instantly broke its level of immersion from the start. Moving on past the server issues, to the balancing issues, to leveling issues, to PvP and gameplay issues, to even having most of the beta progress made over time not being wiped but carried over after the beta finished, and the rest of the 5 to 6 red flags start to pop up. With the new levels of discovery of what Bethesda has done in terms of lying to consumers about product changes and false advertisement of the Fallout 76 Collector's Edition, to adding loot boxes to the game with its horrendous add-on store, to the other unacceptable numerous atrocities that they continue to churn out every day since the release of Fallout 76 astounds me as a fan of the Fallout franchise, because to think about this, there's no way from coming back from this at all. The majority of the fan base of Fallout 76 has now been finessed, manipulated, and deceived by terrible consumer practices, all for what? Sales, pre-order numbers, and corporate greed. With all of these things I've mentioned Bethesda has done since the release of Fallout 76, do you honestly think that a lot of people are truly happy with any of this? Of course not, nobody would be. Fallout is a franchise that many have loved, many have now lost interest in. Many have now just reformed back to the old classics and previous games to get the feel of that once amazing franchise with a side of an amazing community-made mods awaiting to be played and enjoyed. Bethesda has really dropped the ball on this one, big time. And that's why I'm looking forward to Obsidian's next space Victorian RPG game, The Outer Worlds, as that's the last relic for me as a Fallout fan and a lover of the franchise that may move on to bigger and better things. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you really did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Again, this was my first time actually reading off of a script, so I know this is going to be a little bit heavily edited, and you know, it's the first time for me. But if you guys really did enjoy it and you would love to see more videos just like this one, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Talk to me about this. How do you feel about this with all the stuff that's going on with Bethesda and the Fallout franchise as well, including many of Bethesda's future titles that are probably going to be a little bit more interesting, but for another video. Regardless, thank you guys so much. Feel free to check me out as well too on all these other platforms down below. And I should check you guys out next time. Stay awesome, stay creative, like this is Sidkriken. Peace out.